Hey everybody, Ethan here, and you're on my side of the room. Today I got to tell you about the latest. So the old keyboard's gone. Long live the new old keyboard. So I said before I was going to reach way back. So this is the keyboard, not the one, but the brand and model of the one that I had back when I was like 19. Way back in the 80s. So it's the Yamaha PSS-480. I deliberately made sure I got the one that said Porta Sound from eBay. They, meaning Yamaha, came up with the new thing to call a music station instead, and I wanted to really be true to my roots and get the original. I don't know if it makes a big furry difference one to the other, but it's very basic. But for my purposes, it fits the bill. I only use the keyboard for reference, and it's kind of a good second or third opinion sometimes. I do the majority of my songwriting on guitar. So to that end, and I've said before, I got another guitar after all from the pawn shop because it is a part of my songwriting process. It does make things easier on me to do that. So for the 70 something bucks, sure. I just couldn't justify all the stuff I had before, so it's gone. I don't regret it. It just reached a point where I just was really running into brick walls trying to get songwriting work done, trying to do it exclusively on the bass. It wasn't enough information sonically to tell me the things I needed to know, like what the chords are and stuff like that. So, not that you can't possibly play chords on the bass, but not in the way you can play on the guitar. And so I'm happy to report I'm getting songwriting done that's been shelved for a really long time because I just couldn't figure out like how the song really went. It was in my head, but I just wasn't translating it to any instrument. And finally I made a breakthrough recently, and now I've got it to where now I know how the song goes as a progression. And then there's a part where it doesn't follow a progression, so of course that screwed me up. But what's lit up behind me right now is the Arturia BeatStep Pro. So I got this off of eBay, I got this off of eBay. So key learnings here, don't sleep on eBay. A lot of people complain about reverb, I think with justification, that the prices just keep going up and up and up and up, like beyond inflation. Whereas with eBay, I think a lot of people snooze on it, and people stick stuff up on eBay that are pretty decent deals, actually. So the BeatStep, I did just fine. Like I got a like new BeatStep up to and including the box. So I'll throw in some footage here of me unboxing each of these things. I'm not super happy with how the footage turned out, I think. So rather than screw around, I mean, just came in a box. I'm happy to report they both came in the original box. Wow. So that was pretty cool. Neither of these things really came with a definitive manual. I thought that the keyboard was supposed to come with one. It's okay. They're online for free download. I don't super care. It would have been nice to have a paper manual. The BeatStep just came with a quick start guide. I get it, but it just really tells you kind of like how to plug it in. But as far as the particulars, I really had to go jump through a bunch of hoops on their website and get the manual. And I also updated the firmware while I was at it. And it's registered, so all good. So what's going on is the BeatStep is routed to my drum machine, and that has a MIDI out / through, so the through is going to the keyboard. I really like this because on the fly I can edit drum loops or drum patterns. I can save it to the drum machine for later to actually build songs up out of it and put the patterns there and stuff. I don't save patterns on this yet. I eventually probably will, but right now I'm in kind of screw around with the equipment and learn how it goes mode. Holy crap. All right, I'm going to try and do this one-handed. I can't really, but so bear with me. Hitting shift, hitting harmonic minor, and just like that, my sequence adapts to what I told it to do. What about blues? What I found, so I had a Yamaha YS-200, so that was a full-size keyed, like 60 key keyboard. Up from these mini keys, it was just a 4-octave jobber here. So with my huge hands, because I'm 6'6", this is pretty comical that this is what I was taking keyboard lessons on for the little bit that I did. Again, a long time ago in the 80s. As a keyboard goes, it gets the job done because it's cheese. It's nothing that's going to win you any Grammys, but I don't care. What I care about is just the sonic reference. Well, what the BeatStep kind of can't do, or if it can, I haven't gotten that far yet to figure out how to make it do it. It's not great at sustaining notes. It's very good, like Beat would suggest. It's literally like one-hit things. And if your sustained settings on this or your decay or whatever are such that it drags out, that's wonderful. But my YS-200, I really could program like whole notes and hold down keys and go to the next chord and so on. So like with an organ, it was really good for that to, lean on the organ stuff and program in whatever. And that's the thing, like this has kind of been my downfall since the 80s, really. I'm very pragmatic. And so if I can program it, I'm not going to learn it. So I never learned the keyboard really. I can do like the country back and forth, the D with your left hand and kind of lean on the chords to do that a little bit. But it's more like a parlor trick for me than anything. It's nothing I could really hang my hat on. I know the basic chord shapes of like the major and minor, but again, reference. I've always, from the minute I could program the keyboard, not this one, but the YS-200, ever since I could program that, that's all I ever did. Once in a while I would play like a live track, but it was very rare. And I sweated blood the whole time I did it. These days, YouTube is just full of people who do all that DAW-less jamming and stuff like this, where they've got this whole wall of synths and stuff behind them as they talk to you about whatever they bought on Amazon or Perfect Circuit lately. So people program stuff. I mean, it's well established. I'm not really looking to do things like chill wave and retro wave or whatever. It's funny, as I'm well on my way. I've got a very retro keyboard and I've got the SR16. And what you can't see, so I'll superimpose it because it's amusing. On the TV over here, I've got retro wave playing. It's muted right now. But I'm actually like unmuting it periodically, listening to what they're doing, and then trying to conjure something up on the BeatStep into the keyboard that's comparable to kind of understand like how this all works. cool with the BeatStep is it's 2 sequencers and then a drum sequencer specifically. Well, this has 8-note polyphony. Not that this does, but this does. Back in the day, I know that was a big deal. Like even the keyboard teachers like, oh my God, 8-note polyphony, that's horrible. But I think my YS200 had 8-note polyphony. To the point that it was an 8-track sequencer, like built in, like you could step sequence. And I remember I programmed How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees on it. And I did as many parts as I could step sequencing, but it was in mono per track. In that, it was like literally single note polyphony. So it was funny as you'd run into like sonic barriers where like notes would try to sustain and run into another one. It's like, nope, 1-note polyphony, so it would cut off weirdly. But it would also do like weird sustains and stuff in ways that it was actually kind of cool. Well, again, the best I'm getting out of playing the keyboard is one hand. So 8-note polyphony is just fine. And these little micro keys are not the kind of thing you can just go to town on. At least I can't. So again, what I'm having fun with the BeatStep is you can do sequencer 1, and it's single note polyphony basically on the BeatStep. If there's any other way to make it so it isn't, I don't know what it is yet. Certainly leave me a comment if you know the answer and speed up my learning process. But my general understanding is I don't think the BeatStep is like polyphony. I think it's monophonic. Well, what you can do though, and what I'm doing, is sequencer 1 and 2 are going to the keyboard. So I can actually program a monophonic bass thing if I want. I mean, got a bass. So I try not to do that so much as I try to like helix some kind of sequence. Like I'll do a master sequence on sequencer 1, and then I'll do like a auxiliary or additional sequence in number 2. So it's almost like two-handed polyphony, except it would be like 2 fingers. But it's cool because you could be down here in this range, down here in this range with sequencer 1, there we go. And then you can go further up to over here on sequencer 2. So that's pretty cool that you can do that. So you're not limited to just, okay, here's these notes, the end, and it's whatever you can get out of that pattern. Now, what I could do, that's going to involve spending like money, is I could get yet another MIDI-driven instrument, but that's going to involve like another through box that I would have to get to do this. Or I would need something that could use that CV thing, which I guess what, a Korg Volca or something? Or one of Arturia's other fine products, maybe, I don't know. But I could route sequencer 2 into that, so I would have sequencer 1, drum sequencer going to the SR16, and then sequencer 2 going into something else. But if it's just monophonic, single note, like not even polyphony, I don't know that it's necessarily worth it to really worry about getting another piece of gear to slam a jam in there. It's just a lot of coulda, woulda. But the purpose of the BeatStep for me is drum programming. And I really, really like it. Because on the SR16, it's very fiddly to have to like pound in each individual note in step mode, and then did you do it right? And I don't like that. You gotta like somehow delete what you did, and then now you just took out other stuff, and you gotta add all that back in. With this, you can break it up by pad. So I've got this program. Make the lights change here. You'll notice lights changing in the background perhaps, but it's purple on purple, so maybe not. Lights are changing. See that? So this is the kick drum, this is the snare, this is the closed hi-hat, this is the open. Right now I have nothing programmed on those things. I was just doing kick and snare for right now for what I was working on. But I really like that you can break it down by individual pads. So I have this program so it follows the grid of the SR16 behind me over here. Because it's limited to 12 pads and this has 16. So there's like 4 pads on a postage stamp that don't do anything. But it's fine. I mean, for my purposes, you can squeeze a lot out of this and make changes on the fly, and it's really fun. So I really feel like it was money well spent in that way. Now, it hasn't escaped me that the Death Star has basically been rebuilt yet again. I keep going through these cycles of like my studio builds up and then it vanishes and then it builds up and then it vanishes, and now we're back to it built up. He says with a condenser microphone over his shoulder. That's been getting a lot of use lately. But that's fine. I mean, if I'm using it, great. Anyway, this is just kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it flexing. This is just more me just kind of showing like, here's what's in the background now and why it's there. It'll make an appearance here and there, like as far as like the BeatStep or the keyboard. As far as tones go, the keyboard, there's other YouTube videos that go deep diving into that stuff if you really want to know. It's cheese. It's just massive cheese. But it's okay for me, because again, reference. I don't really super care if it's the most accurate piano sound ever, as I just had that. That's what was behind me, was a keyboard that sampled a $250,000 keyboard. And that's not bragging and flexing, that's just how it was. But this does not sample a $250 piano. It's but it's okay. I mean, it just, if you just need to know what the fingering is and you're kind of figuring out like how a scale, like not a scale goes, but like I had to demonstrate on the other keyboard for a saxophone player how the saxophone part went. And there was just no other way I could articulate it other than vocally, which that's fun. And horn players love that. So he could watch what I was fingering on the keyboard. He's, oh, that, okay. And then he translated it to the saxophone. So that's what I mean by reference. Anyway, I hope this was reasonably entertaining. I know that it's kind of weird, especially since I'm not playing any of this, but it's, like I said, just over the coming weeks and months, it'll become more cohesive as to like what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I just really don't want to get bogged down into like do a tutorial video when this is more of a consciousness raising thing and showing off the background now, version 8.0 or whatever I'm on now. So keep learning, keep playing, and I'll catch you in the next video.